God sent Archangel Michael with urgent instructions because the blessing you prayed for is hanging by a thread. Open before midnight. My beloved child, there are moments in life when heaven falls silent. When your prayers seem to vanish into the void and your heart trembles, wondering if God has heard you at all. But tonight, something divine has shifted. The silence has been broken. Archangel Michael himself has descended not with words of comfort but with urgent instructions. You see, the blessing you've been praying for, the breakthrough, the miracle, the healing, it's not lost. It's hanging by a thread. And that thread, my child, is woven by your faith, your obedience, and the choices you make tonight. The heavens have recorded your cries. Your sleepless nights, your whispered prayers, they were never ignored. Every tear you shed was seen. Every plea was written in the scrolls of destiny. And now, Archangel Michael has been commanded to intervene, but only if you listen and act before midnight. This isn't a coincidence. You were meant to hear this message right now. The moment you pressed play, heaven leaned closer. Angels paused their flight because the message that's about to unfold could change everything for you. There's a spiritual war happening as we speak. Forces of light and darkness are fighting over your destiny. That's why your spirit has felt heavy lately. That's why things have been delayed. That's why doors that were supposed to open have stayed locked. But listen carefully. God has not forgotten you. He's testing the final thread of your faith. Archangel Michael has been sent to guide you through the last gate before your blessing breaks through. But this gate can only be opened through understanding the three divine instructions he carries from the throne of God itself. These are not ordinary commands. They are life-changing, fate-shifting keys. The first instruction, Michael says, is stand still and silence your fear. Because fear has been whispering lies to your heart. It tells you that it's over, that your prayers didn't work, that time has run out. But God says, as long as you still have breath, His plan still lives. Michael stands beside you right now, sword drawn, cutting through every invisible chain that's been holding your miracle hostage. You may not see him, but the air around you is charged with divine presence. Goosebumps, chills, a strange warmth. These are signs that the Archangel is near. But there's something he wants you to know before the clock strikes midnight. The spiritual thread connecting you to your blessing is thinning. It's not because you failed, but because heaven is waiting for your final act of faith. There's something you must say, something you must do before the night ends. Don't let fear distract you. Don't scroll away. What's about to be revealed could be the very instruction you prayed for when you said, God, just show me what to do. You're closer than you think. The light you've been searching for is right behind the storm. Stay tuned because the second instruction from Archangel Michael is unlike anything you've ever heard before. It will test your spirit, but it will also unlock the door that's been sealed against you for so long. Something divine is about to unfold. Don't skip, my beloved child. When Archangel Michael descended, the earth trembled, not in fear, but in divine awakening. His wings stretched across the horizon, shimmering with light that could blind the eyes of darkness, and in his hand he held a sealed scroll, glowing with the fire of divine truth. That scroll carried your name. Heaven has been watching your story unfold, your prayers echoing louder each time you refuse to give up. You thought you were forgotten, but in the unseen realm, your persistence became a melody that reached God's throne. Michael's voice broke through the veil, firm yet filled with compassion. "Tell them," he said, "their faith has not gone unnoticed. But the battle is not yet over." Then he revealed the second divine instruction, one that would shake your spirit to its core. Forgive before you ask again. Those words might feel heavy, but listen closely. Every delay, every blockage, every unanswered prayer may not be because you were undeserving, but because unforgiveness has anchored your blessing in place. Forgiveness is not weakness. It's the release that allows heaven to move freely in your life. Michael warns that holding on to anger, resentment, or past wounds creates spiritual noise that blocks the frequency of divine instruction. The moment you forgive, you clear the static between you and God's voice. Maybe someone broke you. Maybe someone betrayed you when you needed the most. Maybe you've forgiven others, but still haven't forgiven yourself. Michael says, the heavens cannot release what you're asking for until your heart releases what it's been holding on to. Imagine a river flowing freely until debris blocks its path. The water still exists, but it can't reach you. That's how many blessings are trapped, not lost, just waiting for your release. So, right now, take a deep breath. Visualize the face of the one who hurt you most. Speak their name softly, not with bitterness, but with the quiet strength of someone ready to be free. Say it aloud if you can. I release you. Each time you say it, the thread connecting you to your blessing grows stronger. Forgiveness doesn't erase what happened. It reclaims your power over it. Michael stands with his sword raised high. And, as you forgive, his sword glows brighter. Chains of spiritual delay begin to fall away. Doors that refuse to open begin to shift. The air grows lighter because heaven can finally move. The Archangel's voice grows louder now. The blessing is near, but they must not stop now. Tell them to keep walking in faith, even when the path disappears beneath their feet. Child of light, the test you are facing is not a punishment. It's preparation. God is not denying your request. He is refining you to carry it. You see, sometimes heaven waits not because you're unworthy, but because your blessing is too heavy for your current strength. That's why this moment is crucial. The decisions you make before midnight will determine whether your breakthrough manifests or fades into delay once more. Michael reminds you that divine timing is not random. Midnight symbolizes the crossover. The moment when one day dies and another is born. Spiritually, it's when old energies expire and new beginnings are birthed. That's why the message comes, now before midnight. You must complete the circle of obedience. Silence your fear, forgive completely and stay alert. And listen carefully, my child. When Michael spoke of forgiveness, he didn't just mean forgiving others. He also meant forgiving God. Because sometimes deep inside, we feel like God let us down. We question His silence. We wonder why He allowed pain to stay longer than peace. But the Archangel says He never abandoned you. Every unanswered prayer was protection in disguise. What you thought was rejection was, actually, redirection. Heaven was rerouting your path to something greater than you imagined. Right now, the angels are aligning in position. Michael stands in the center, holding the scroll with your name, waiting for one last confirmation from you. Will you trust again? Will you surrender your pain so the blessing can finally find its way home to you? The heavens are listening for your yes. And as you whisper that yes, a divine chain reaction begins. In the spirit realm, the scroll opens, releasing beams of light that begin to untangle the knots of your destiny. Every promise delayed starts to move toward fulfillment. Your prayers, your tears, your sacrifices, they are gathering momentum. The blessing that was hanging by a thread is beginning to strengthen because your obedience is weaving faith into it once more. Now Michael delivers his next message. Almost like a whisper carried by the wind. Tell them their time is short. Tell them the third instruction will determine everything. Tell them not to turn away now. This is where most people stop. This is where many lose their chance because the weight of obedience feels too heavy. But you, my beloved child, you've come too far to give up. You fought too long to walk away before the finish line. So I urge you, stay with me. Something life-changing is about to unfold. In the next breath, the third instruction will be revealed. The one that seals the miracle and finalizes heaven's decree over your life. Before that happens, take a moment and prepare your spirit. Center yourself. Feel the presence of Michael near you. Feel the warmth of divine energy wrapping around your shoulders like a mantle of light. You are not alone. You are never alone. Heaven has orchestrated this moment for you. And while you breathe, let this truth echo in your heart. What was meant to destroy you will soon be used to define you. Your pain will turn into power, your waiting into wisdom, and your tears into testimony. Something massive is approaching. It's closer than you think. Stay alert, stay open, and keep your heart ready because what Archangel Michael says next will shift everything you believe about your destiny. Don't scroll away. Stay till the end. Your miracle is already on its way. My beloved child, as the heavens tremble under the weight of divine urgency, Archangel Michael stands tall in the blinding brilliance of celestial light. His wings stretch wide across the unseen horizon, and the air around him hums with divine electricity. His eyes, like two burning stars, pierce through the veil, separating the mortal and the eternal. He gazes upon you, not with judgment, but with fierce protection. And then, in a voice that shakes the unseen realms, he speaks the third and final instruction. Speak what you seek. For silence gives strength to delay. These words fall like thunder into the silence of your spirit. You see, heaven cannot move where your mouth is closed. The power of life and death lies in the tongue. And for too long, you have prayed in your heart, but remained silent in your declaration. Michael says you must speak it out. Call your blessing by name. Declare what you desire before midnight and let the sound of faith break the atmosphere of resistance. This isn't about shouting or repeating empty words. It's about aligning your voice with the sound of heaven. Every miracle begins with a word. When God created the universe, He didn't think light into existence. He spoke it. And just as His word carrying creation, your words carry manifestation. The delay you've been facing isn't a sign of denial. It's the silence of your authority waiting to be awakened. Michael raises his sword once more. Its blade shines with golden fire. And from its edge, sparks of divine energy shoot into the unseen. He commands every force that has tried to block your blessing to bow before the spoken word of faith. But he warns, your words must align with belief. Doubt spoken aloud is a weapon against your own miracle. Heaven listens carefully to what leaves your lips. So right now, wherever you are to speak, declare it out loud. Say, my blessing will not die in delay, my miracle will not slip away. The thread that holds my destiny will strengthen with divine power. Each word you speak weaves new strands of light into the thread connecting you to your breakthrough. And as you speak, Michael's sword glows brighter, slicing through every invisible barrier around your life. Heaven begins to move. Enter the shift positions. The spiritual battlefield changes shape. In the distance, a light begins to pulse. A symbol of your answer prayer pushing through resistance. But remember, the Archangel warns, the enemy of your destiny thrives in silence. He wants you to believe that keeping your faith quiet is humility, but silence in the face of spiritual warfare is surrender. Michael leans closer, his voice a whisper carried by eternity. Your words create the path your blessing walks on. Every declaration is a step closer to divine fulfillment. The clock is ticking. My child. The closer it draws to midnight, the more intense the spiritual vibration becomes. You may feel your heart racing, your spirit stirring, your body tingling. These are not coincidences. They are signs that heaven's energy is responding to your voice. The angels are forming a circle around your name, protecting it, guarding it, and empowering the promise written beside it. Now listen carefully. Michael reveals that the reason your blessing was hanging by a thread was not because heaven was ignoring you, but because you were holding on to doubt disguised as patience. Doubt is a thief. It sneaks into your waiting, making you believe that maybe it's not meant to happen. But Michael declares, if God promised it, it's still yours. If heaven wrote it, no force can erase it. But you must claim it with the authority of your voice. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the scene. The heavens filled with golden light, a scroll opening, your name shining brighter with every word of faith you speak. The angels around you nod in agreement. The atmosphere changes. A warmth flows over you. Gentle but powerful. It's the sign that your words have reached the throne. And now the Archangel delivers one final reminder before his message fades into divine silence. The blessing is not lost. It is waiting for your command. But you must act before the appointed hour. The urgency in his tone is unmistakable. Evan's timeline is precise and the moment of activation lies within the final minutes before midnight. This isn't superstition. It's divine synchronization. Midnight symbolizes the moment when old things end and new things begin. Every time the clock resets, the spiritual dimension shifts, offering a new canvas for creation. That's why Michael insists, speak your faith aloud before the clock resets. Let heaven hear your confidence. Let your words echo through time. And as you do, something extraordinary happens. The thread that once seemed fragile now glows like molten gold, unbreakable, indestructible. The vibration of divine energy flows through it, binding your faith to the promise, your voice to your destiny. You feel lighter because what was once hanging by a thread is now held by the hand of God Himself. Michael smiles, not a human smile, but a radiant expression that carries both power and peace. It is done, he says. But they must not stop here. His wings stretch again, lifting him higher. When the blessing comes, they must remember to share this story. For every testimony born of obedience births faith in others. And now I turn to you, my beloved child. If your heart is beating faster, it's because heaven is calling you into alignment. Don't keep this revelation to yourself. Speak it, live it, and share it. There are others praying for a sign, waiting for hope, wondering if God still sees them. And your obedience may be the light that leads them home. So before you leave this message, do one thing: share it, comment your faith, and subscribe to Divine Alignment. You never know whose life you'll touch by spreading this word. Heaven works through vessels willing to carry its light forward. This story is not over. A blessing is moving closer. A miracle is taking shape. The final act is near, and what happens next will reveal the full purpose behind your waiting. Something greater is on the horizon. So stay where faith lies, because Archangel Michael's mission isn't complete yet. Something huge is waiting for you. My beloved child, the air shifted the moment your voice joined the sound of heaven. The atmosphere that once felt heavy began to vibrate with divine resonance. And in that vibration, something invisible started to move. Archangel Michael stood at the edge of the unseen realm, watching as your words, filled with faith, rose like beams of light piercing through the clouds of resistance. For a moment, all of heaven grew silent. Even the stars seemed to pause, for your declaration had reached the gates of glory. But the Archangel did not leave. His mission is not yet complete. He watches closely, waiting for one more act of courage from you, one more spark of obedience. Because now that you have spoken your faith, the enemy of your destiny will attempt one last strike. A wave of distraction, doubt, and exhaustion meant to pull you away from the threshold of your breakthrough. That's why this moment is sacred. You must not let your guard down. Michael lowers his sword. The light of its blade dimming slightly, not from weakness, but from purpose. He steps closer to you, his presence so near that you can almost feel the warmth of divine energy brushing against your spirit. Tell them, he says, that the battle after the declaration is the most dangerous one. It's when heaven is preparing delivery, but the earth is still echoing resistance. That is why so many people lose what was already theirs. They stop believing right before the manifestation arrives. Do not stop now, child of light. You've already awakened heaven's attention. Every word you've spoken has been recorded, and your obedience has shifted timelines in your favor. The delay that once held you captive is dissolving, but you must sustain your faith. Imagine this like holding a door open while the wind pushes against it. Your voice opened that door, but your consistency will keep it from slamming shut. Michael now gives you an image. A golden thread glowing between heaven and earth is stretched but not broken. Every act of trust strengthens it. Every moment of doubt weakens it. He urges you to protect this connection. Guard it fiercely. The thoughts you entertain, the words you speak, the emotions you allow, all of them feed or drain the thread. That is why he warns not every voice that speaks to you is heaven's echo. Some are whispers of delay disguised as reason. When fear begins to whisper again, reminded that you are not standing alone. You are covered by the wings of the Archangel, surrounded by the light of God and backed by the authority of your Creator. The same power that created the stars is now working behind the scenes for you. Heaven has heard the cry of your faith and is arranging the outcome. The message was sent, the word was spoken, and the thread is holding. And now, as Michael prepares for his next movement, the heavens open slightly, just enough for him to show you a glimpse of what's to come. You see a vision of yourself standing on the other side of this waiting season, stronger, freer, glowing with peace. The pain that once broke you now looks small compared to the light surrounding you. The promises that felt far away are now within reach. And in that moment, the Archangel's voice fills your mind. This is what obedience creates. Divine reversal. You may not realize it yet, but something has already shifted in your favor. The atmosphere around you feels lighter because the chains that bound your promise have started to break. Michael and his army have begun cutting away every thread of spiritual interference that tried to drain your hope. What was once delayed is now being released. What was once locked away is now being returned. Still, he warns, do not forget gratitude. For every answered prayer, gratitude must follow. Gratitude is the seal that keeps the blessing secure. So now, as you prepare your heart for what's ahead, speak softly. Thank you. Say it even before the miracle shows up. Thank God for what's on its way, not just for what has already arrived. The heavens respond powerfully to thankfulness spoken in faith. It accelerates fulfillment and protects the blessing from theft. Michael turns again toward you. His wings now radiating pure white fire. His gaze is calm yet filled with urgency. Tell them, he says, that their testimony will become a weapon. They must not hide what heaven is doing. They must share it, for every shared word multiplies light in a dark world. When you speak about what God has done, it's not just storytelling. It's warfare. Your testimony sends tremors through the kingdom of darkness, reminding every force of resistance that faith still reigns. So, my beloved child, when your miracle begins to unfold, don't keep silent. Speak about it. Jared, let others hear the story of how God moved through your midnight hour. There is someone right now on the edge of giving up, waiting for proof that heaven still listens, and your voice might be the confirmation they need. Don't underestimate how powerful your story will be. What feels like a private blessing could become a public revival. And as Michael begins to ascend once more, he leaves behind a trail of radiant light that wraps around you like a promise fulfilled. You may not see the full miracle yet, but you can feel the atmosphere changing. Your spirit knows, your heart senses it. Heaven has released the decree. All that remains is for time to catch up with destiny. Before he fades, the Archangel turns one last time. His words echo through the silence of your soul. Tell them their waiting has not been wasted. Tell them that midnight is not the end. It is the beginning of dawn. The heavens roar softly as he departs. And you stand in the stillness, knowing something divine has touched your life. This isn't the end of your story. Is the turning point, the moment when your faith begins to bear fruit in visible form. Hold on. The thread is glowing brighter than ever. And now, my child, as you carry this light within you, remember this. Your faith has already spoken life into your promise. But to keep the fire alive, share this message, comment your belief, and subscribe your heart to heaven's rhythm. Let this divine word spread like wildfire, touching everyone who still wonders if their blessing is real. A miracle is unfolding. The Archangel's message is alive. The night is almost over. Stay till the end. Something greater is still coming. My beloved child, when the last echo of Archangel Michael's voice faded into the unseen, a sacred stillness filled the air. It wasn't the silence of absence. It was the silence of completion, like the breath the universe takes before the dawn. You could feel it in your chest, a rhythm of peace pulsing where chaos once lived. The air itself seemed to shimmer with the residue of divine movement. Proof that heaven had indeed passed through your story. And yet, just as the calm began to settle, something subtle stirred deep within you. A whisper, a nudge, a holy stirring that reminded you this was not the end. Because when heaven finishes speaking, the earth must begin to respond. The Archangel's message wasn't meant only to be heard. It was meant to be lived. Every instruction you received, silence your fear, forgive before you ask again, and speak what you seek, was not a suggestion, but a spiritual code designed to align your reality with divine will. Michael's presence still lingers around you, unseen but deeply felt. The warmth on your skin. The faint energy humming in your spirit. It's his way of reminding you that obedience activates protection. When you step in faith, angels move to guard your path. They do not remove the obstacles instantly. They walk beside you through them, ensuring you reach the other side. This is what divine partnership means. Heaven doesn't just hand you blessings. It walks with you toward them. You may notice that in the coming hours, unusual moments will unfold. Conversations that feel divinely timed. Thoughts that come like whispers but carry weight. A sense that the ordinary world has suddenly become charged with meaning. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations. Heaven communicates not through chaos, but through clarity, through moments that make your heart recognize truth before your mind can explain it. Michael's mission was never about giving you comfort. It was about restoring your authority. For too long, the enemy has made you believe you were powerless. For too long, your delays have made you doubt your worth. But heaven does not measure you by your mistakes. It measures you by your persistence. Every time you stood back up, every time you chose faith over fear, you wrote your destiny in the archives of heaven. That is why this message reached you now. Not earlier, not later, now. Because this is the hour when your preparation meets your promise. The Archangel's last words echo faintly, through the air. Tell them to walk forward. The promise is no longer waiting. It is advancing toward them. And indeed, something within you has already changed. You are no longer the same person who cried out in uncertainty. Your spirit has been strengthened. Your voice has found its power. And your heart has aligned with divine rhythm. The thread that once held your blessing by a fragile strand now shines like a beam of living light. Thick, vibrant, and unbreakable. But Michael's guidance does not end at faith alone. Heaven always responds to action. It is through action that unseen promises become visible reality. The Archangel now reveals the next divine principle to you through the stillness of your spirit. Faith without movement is unfinished creation. You have spoken, you have forgiven, and you have believed. Now it's time to move. Take the first small step toward what you've been praying for. If you've been waiting for a sign to start, this is it. If you've been doubting your readiness, remember this truth. Heaven would not call you if you were unprepared. The path ahead might not be fully visible yet. But that's by divine design. Faith sees through fog. When you take one step, the next appears. This is how heaven trains your trust, one act of obedience at a time. And as you move, you'll notice resistance trying to rise again. Shadows of fear, echoes of old pain, distractions that demand your attention. Don't let them anchor you. Remember, resistance is the enemy's last attempt to keep you from the fulfillment already on its way. The stronger the resistance, the closer the manifestation. Archangel Michael now watches as you begin to walk in faith. Every step you take becomes a spark in the spiritual realm. Angels record it. Heaven celebrates it. Because obedience is louder than prayer. It's proof that you believe. You may not see the full picture yet, but every motion you make sends ripples into eternity. Your journey is no longer a waiting room. It's a corridor leading directly to answered prayer. There's a reason the blessing was hanging by a thread. A thread was your faith stretched to its limit, yet unbroken. You thought it was weakness, but it was endurance. Heaven was watching, not to test your pain, but to measure your readiness. Now that you've proven your faith, the blessing is no longer hanging. It's descending slowly, truly, divinely. The heavens have begun their final release, and the promise is moving through realms to reach you. But remember this. As your miracle draws near, protect your peace. The enemy cannot steal what's yours, but he can distract you long enough to make you doubt it. Guard your words, guard your emotions, and guard your focus. Every doubt you silence becomes another shield around your promise. Every declaration of gratitude builds a wall of divine protection around your blessing. And as your spirit grows stronger, your testimony becomes a beacon. Heaven is asking you not just to receive but to reveal when your breakthrough comes, and it will share it. Tell the world how the Archangel's message reached you. How obedience turned your midnight into morning. Because every story told in faith becomes a seed planted in someone else's desert. You might be the reason another soul doesn't give up tonight. So if this message has stirred your spirit, don't keep it to yourself. Share it so another heart can awaken. Comment your faith, declare your readiness, and subscribe not just with your screen, but with your spirit to the flow of heaven that never stops working. The blessing that was hanging by a thread is now secured in divine hands. The clock is moving closer to midnight, but this time you are not afraid. You know that midnight is not a deadline. It's a doorway. When the clock strikes 12, heaven will shift your story from waiting to receiving. The same angels who carried this message are already preparing your delivery. So hold your peace, guard your light, and walk boldly into your next hour. The Archangel is still near, his sword still glowing, his eyes still watching, over the thread that now shines like destiny fulfilled. Heaven's promise stands firm. The countdown to your miracle has already begun. Don't lose focus now. Stay till the end. For the greatest revelation is yet to come. My beloved child, the night grows still, and the stars seem to lean closer, as though even the heavens are holding their breath for what comes next. You stand between two moments, the prayers of your past and the promises of your future. And in that quiet in-between, the presence of Archangel Michael returns, not with thunder this time, but with the sound of a soft wind. His light no longer burns fiercely as before. It glows with calm assurance, the kind that fills your soul with strength. He looks upon you with eyes that know the weight of your journey and the beauty of your endurance. You've come far, child of light. You've wrestled with doubt, endured silence, and stood in faith even when everything inside you screamed for answers. The heavens have seen your struggle and they have not remained indifferent. Every moment you refused to quit became a signal in the spiritual realm, calling forth angelic intervention. You may not have realized it, but with every act of faith, you were already winning battles you couldn't see. Michael steps forward and speaks again, his voice low, but powerful. The blessing is no longer delayed, he says. It has been released, but you must guard it. For every blessing released from heaven faces the test of faith on earth. The thread that once held your promise now glows steady, but it still requires your attention. You must feed it with belief, protect it with prayer, and nurture it with gratitude. Heaven has a rhythm, and you are now in sync with it. You can feel the alignment, the sudden sense of peace that doesn't make sense, the awareness that something within you has shifted permanently. That's not imagination. It's the manifestation of divine order. The chaos that once clouded your mind begins to fade, replaced by a calm certainty that your story is unfolding exactly as it should. Yet, Michael reminds you, do not fall asleep in your comfort. The enemy's last trick is to make you complacent. Many receive their blessings and forget the faith that brought them there. They stop praying, stop believing, and soon the light that once surrounded them dims again. But you are called to remain awake. You are chosen not just to receive miracles, but to carry light. This is the true purpose behind your journey. Your faith was never meant to serve only you. It was meant to ignite others. As the Archangel speaks, a soft radiance fills the air around you. You can sense movement beyond sight. like thousands of unseen wings brushing against the air. Every word of obedience you spoke, Michael says, has drawn other souls closer to light. Your faith has inspired invisible ripples across realms. What you do next will determine how far that light travels. He looks toward you as if waiting for your response, not in words, but in commitment. And so, my beloved child, this is the moment when you choose what to do with what heaven has given you. Will you hide the light, or will you spread it? Will you protect the revelation, or will you let it echo across hearts that still feel forgotten? Because some are out there, another soul is hanging by their own fragile thread, praying for sign that God still hears them. Your obedience could become their rescue. Michael's wings rise behind him again, stretching wide across the unseen horizon. The light flares briefly, and then he gives one final command before he ascends. Tell them to speak light, share truth, and invite others into faith. For the blessing multiplies only when it is shared, my beloved child. The air trembles softly now, as if the very wind carries whispers from the divine. Midnight is drawing near. Every tick of the clock is no longer just a sound. It's a heartbeat of heaven aligning with yours. You can feel it, can't you? The stirring inside your soul, that pulse of quiet certainty that something unseen is about to unfold. This is the hour of crossing where promises move from spirit into form. Archangel Michael has not vanished completely. His essence remains near, watching as you step into the moment heaven wrote long before you ever prayed for it. The night is heavy with expectancy above you. The stars shimmer brighter as though they too are keeping vigil. The Archangel's energy fills the space around you. No longer commanding or fierce, but gentle, protective, fatherly. It is the calm of completion, the stillness before revelation. You stand in the center of divine timing, surrounded by invisible witnesses, angels who have been assigned to see your prayer through to its full manifestation. They are gathered now, waiting for your faith to seal what heaven has released. Michael's voice returns, faint but clear, woven through the silence. You have walked through the valley of waiting and come out shining. But now remember, your blessing carries responsibility. What you receive tonight will change more than your life. It will ripple outward, touching generations after you. Guard it with humility. Those words pierce deep, reminding you that every answered prayer is both gift and calling. Heaven never blesses for self alone. It blesses to multiply light. He continues, what you do after you receive will define what remains. So many receive blessings and lose them because they forget the source. They become distracted by the glow of what they were given and lose sight of the giver. But not you, child of light. You've been refined too deeply to forget. You've tasted too much of heaven's mercy to turn your eyes away now. The thread that once held your promise still blows, stronger than ever. Yet now it is no longer a thread. It is a bridge. A bridge between heaven's intention and your destiny. As you stand there, you begin to feel the shift within your body. A warmth moving through your hands, your heart, your voice. It feels as though the very breath of God has entered you. Not as an external presence, but as a living flame within. That is your confirmation. Heaven doesn't need you to see Archangel Michael. It needs you to become the light he carried. The Archangel's mission was to deliver the message, but yours is to embody it. You are now the vessel of divine completion. Look around you. The things that once appeared immovable have begun to bend. The situations that felt locked are loosening. You sense it in subtle ways. A call back that had been silent for months. A door opening where there was once rejection. A sudden peace in places where anxiety ruled. That's heaven's hand rearranging your reality. The prayer you thought was hanging by a thread was never in danger. It was simply waiting for you to reach the level of faith required to hold it. The Archangel whispers, "Do not doubt what you feel. A miracle is already in motion." And truly, it is. This is how heaven works. Not always with thunder and spectacle, but often with quiet shifts that seem ordinary until they become undeniable. It's the sudden clarity in your thoughts, the new strength in your spirit, the opportunities that align too perfectly to be coincidence. You are living inside the unfolding of divine orchestration. And yet, Michael warns once more, do not forget to return to gratitude. Gratitude isn't just a feeling. It's a weapon. It seals what faith has built. It tells heaven you are ready for more. Every thank you is like a lock placed around your blessing, protecting it from spiritual corrosion. So right now, whisper your gratitude, even for what hasn't fully appeared yet. Because heaven releases the rest when it sees appreciation for what has already begun. My beloved child, the hour that once felt distant has almost arrived. The ticking of time no longer feels ordinary. It feels divine. Each second carries a vibration, a rhythm that seems to match the beating of your heart. The night air grows warmer as though heaven itself is bending closer, waiting for the precise moment to pour out what it has been holding back. You are standing at the edge of manifestation. Right where the invisible becomes visible. This is where faith turns into proof. Where the unseen becomes undeniable. You can feel it now, can't you? That subtle hum in your spirit. The quiet assurance that something is breaking open in the unseen realm. The Archangel's presence surrounds you still. Not as a distant guardian, but as a guide whose mission is nearing its completion. The energy in the air carries both peace and purpose. An awareness that the divine plan is unfolding exactly as written. The midnight hour isn't just a number on a clock. It's a spiritual alignment. The moment heaven's decree touches Earth's timeline, Michael's voice returns calm but commanding. Child of the Most High, he says, this is the hour of release. But do not forget what you receive in light must be carried in humility. A weight of a blessing is not in its beauty, but in its purpose. His words echo deep within you, reverberating through every fiber of your being. For the first time, you truly understand that this journey was never only about receiving. It was about becoming. Every hardship was training. Every delay was discipline. Every silence was instruction. Heaven was not withholding, it was preparing. Michael steps closer now. You're shimmering as if charged by divine fire. You have learned to silence fear. You have forgiven. You have spoken your faith and you have guarded your peace. Now you must learn the final lesson to carry the blessing with honor. It's easy to cry for what you desire, but not everyone can protect what they've been given. He reminds you that blessings carry responsibility, and with them comes a new level of testing. The promise you've prayed for is powerful, and power must always be anchored in purpose. You yawn inwardly, feeling the weight of those words. Somewhere deep in your heart, gratitude begins to overflow. Tears form, not of sorrow, but of release. Every moment of pain that brought you here begins to make sense. Every unanswered prayer, every delay, every heartbreak, it was all a divine design meant to mold you into someone capable of holding heaven's favor, without breaking under its glory. The Archangel smiles faintly, for he can sense the shift inside you. This, he says softly, is what heaven was waiting for. Not your words, but your readiness. And suddenly, the atmosphere changes. The light grows brighter, the air heavy with holiness. You can almost see the veil between worlds begin to thin. The Archangel raises his sword, its blade now radiant with golden light, and points it toward the heavens. The decree had been fulfilled. He declares, the blessing has been released. At that moment, it feels as if every angel in heaven rejoices. A wave of warmth rushes through you, almost electric, filling you with both awe and peace. You know deep down that this is real. The promise has moved. It's no longer hanging by a thread. It's descending, steady and sure into your life. Michael lowers his sword and speaks again. Now comes the second half of your calling. Spread light where there was once despair. Do not hide what heaven has done. Tell your story not to boast but to awaken others. Share this message so that others may find their way out of the waiting. The more you speak of divine faithfulness, the stronger your light will shine. You take a breath realizing that this moment isn't just a personal victory. It's an invitation. Heaven is inviting you to partner in its work to become a vessel of hope in a world drowning in fear. The Archangel continues, do not let your testimony stay locked in silence. Every word of faith you share becomes a seed in someone else's soil. Every declaration of God's goodness tears through the walls of doubt surrounding another's soul. You are not just blessed. You are chosen to carry blessing forward. And as you listen, your heart burns with purpose. You remember all the times you felt alone, unseen, unheard. And now you see how every one of those moments shaped you for this. The Archangel leans close once more. And his final words in this moment sound like music, echoing through your very spirit. The thread has become a bridge. What was hanging in the balance is now secured in divine order. But you must keep walking in obedience, for the bridge leads to many others waiting on the other side. The glow begins to fade, but not into darkness into you. The light that once surrounded the Archangel now dwells within your heart, steady and eternal. You can sense that his mission is nearing completion, but the work of faith has only just begun. You are no longer just the receiver of a message. You are now a messenger yourself, and so, my beloved child, before this hour passes, take a moment to seal what heaven has done. Whisper your gratitude once more. Let the words leave your lips like a fragrance rising toward the throne. And then let your faith flow into action. Share this message with someone who needs it. Comment your gratitude below, not just as text, but as testimony. Subscribe your heart to hope so that heaven knows you are still listening. Every act of sharing is obedience. And every obedience multiplies blessing. Remember this truth. Miracles do not end when they appear, they begin. Each answered prayer is a doorway into deeper faith. Each blessing received carries the instruction to give. The Archangel's mission was never to visit and vanish. It was to awaken and ignite. You have been awakened. You have been ignited. The flame within you is proof that heaven has touched your life. As the final seconds before midnight approach, listen closely to the rhythm of your spirit. It beats in harmony with heaven. Now you are aligned. You are covered and you are chosen. The promise has arrived and with it your purpose. Do not let fear or doubt dim the light you now carry. Walk into tomorrow knowing that the blessing you prayed for has found you and it will never slip away again. Midnight is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of your glory. The Archangel's mission is complete, but your divine calling has just begun. Stay with faith. Keep believing. And remember, something even greater is still on the horizon. Don't miss what heaven does next. My beloved child, the midnight hour has arrived. The air feels charged, almost alive, vibrating with divine completion. The silence of the night is not empty. It's sacred, filled with the soundless hum of heaven's fulfillment. You are standing inside the moment that time and eternity have both been waiting for. The very thread that once trembled under the weight of your prayer now blows like a golden cord of unbreakable light. Heaven has earned. Heaven has moved. Heaven has delivered. As you take a deep breath, you sense it. A wave of peace unlike any you've ever known, flowing through every corner of your being. The ache that once haunted your chest fades. The fear that once whispered lies grows silent. You can feel the difference. The spiritual weight has lifted. The delay is over. The blessing that was hanging by a thread has descended into your life, steadied and sure, sealed by faith and obedience. This is not imagination. This is not coincidence. This is completion. And now the heavens open one last time. The sky feels alive, illuminated not by lightning, but by glory. From within that radiant expanse, Archangel Michael appears once more, not as the fierce warrior of battle, but as the messenger of triumph. His wings no longer blaze with urgency. They shine with peace. His sword is lowered no longer for war, but as a symbol of victory. He looks at you and his expression is one of pure reverence, as though heaven itself bows in acknowledgement of your endurance. He speaks softly, yet his words echo through the air like thunder made of light. He is done, he says. The instruction has been fulfilled. The blessing you sought has crossed the veil and entered your realm. The thread did not break because your faith held firm. Now your obedience has completed the bridge between heaven's promise and earth's manifestation. You can feel his words resonating within you. Deeper than sound, deeper than thought, they awakened something sacred and awareness that your waiting was never wasted. Every delay was divine construction. Every closed door was rerouting you toward a greater opening. Heaven didn't forget you. It was fortifying you. You were never being punished. You were being prepared to carry the very thing that would once have crushed you. Michael steps closer and the air grows brighter. Do you understand now? He says, why it had to take this long. Why the blessing felt like it was slipping away. It wasn't the blessing that was fragile. It was your readiness that was being refined. You were meant to rise through fire so your faith would never fall again. Tears form in your eyes, not out of sorrow, but in awe. You realize now that the threat was never weakness. It was the divine tether that kept you connected to heaven. Even when you couldn't see the way forward, every prayer you whispered in the dark was another strand woven into that unbreakable line. And now, as you stand in the fullness of this hour, that thread becomes your crown. It glows with everything you endured, every tear you shed, every night you refused to give up. Michael raises his wings, their light expanding across the night sky. And now he says you must live differently. Walk as one who has seen heaven move. Speak as one who has heard the voice of destiny. Let your life itself become the testimony that others need to see. You were not just blessed to be comforted. You were blessed to become a light in the darkness of others. And as he says this, you suddenly understand the full circle of it all. The urgency that once filled his message wasn't about fear. It was about alignment. Heaven was waiting for the precise moment when your spirit, your words, and your will were all in harmony. And now that harmony has been reached. What was written in eternity is now activated in time. A blessing has shifted from someday to now. The Archangel lowers his sword and plants it gently into the ground before you. Light spreads from its point, flowing across the earth like rivers of gold. Everywhere you step from this moment onward, he says, shall carry the imprint of divine favor. What you touch will prosper. What you speak will grow. But remember, remain humble, remain thankful, and remain aware that you are not alone. He begins to ascend, the glow of his presence blending with the dawn that begins to stir at the horizon. But before he vanishes completely, he turns once more and speaks the final revelation. The one heaven saved for last. Tell them, he says, that blessings do not die when faith lives. Tell them that the thread was never weakness, that was a covenant. And tell them that every prayer spoken in truth will always return fulfilled. Though it may walk through fire before reaching home. And then with a single sweep of his wings, the light expands and he is gone. Yet the silence he leaves behind is not empty. It is filled with the weight of glory, the scent of completion, the knowing that something holy just happened. You are different now. The world may look the same, but you are not the same person who entered this night. You have crossed the threshold of divine fulfillment. Take a moment now, my beloved child, to let gratitude overflow. Whisper thank you not just for what you've received, but for what you've become. Heaven doesn't bless lightly. It blesses with purpose. You have been trusted with a divine assignment to carry the story of your deliverance into the world so others can find their way to their own. Let this be your vow tonight, that you will never again doubt that heaven hears. You will never again underestimate the power of your prayer. You will never again call the thread weak. You will walk in light, speak in faith, and live as proof that miracles are still real because you are one. You are living evidence that even when a blessing hangs by a thread, that thread when woven by God can never break. So rise now with peace in your spirit and fire in your soul. Walk forward with the confidence of one who has seen the heavens move on their behalf. Your story has become your strength. Your waiting has become your witness. And your blessing has become your weapon against despair. The Archangel's mission is complete. The instructions have been fulfilled. The night has passed and the dawn of your new season begins. You are the living proof of a prayer answered. You are the promise made manifest. And your blessing is no longer hanging. It's home.